Welcome to the David Dean Show, a weekly look at West Georgia Wolves football, brought to you by Systems and Methods. SMI, a proud supporter of West Georgia Wolves football.
Three wide, tight end sets in there, and Willie will throw in the end zone. Got a man, caught, touchdown.
That Taylor?
It is, I believe, Taylor Turner, the backup tight end, the junior out of Hiram High School.
Game number 2 in the books for the West Georgia Wolves, a 42-14 victory over Limestone. And welcome in with Coach David Dean, Mitch Gray for SMI, as we look back at West Georgia Wolves football. Coach Dean, you told us during the week you wanted your ball club to get off to a fast start, and we did that on Saturday.
Sure did. I was very proud of our guys, the way they came out of the locker room and responded. We didn't get off to a good start in the first game, and in this game we challenged them to do that, and they accepted the challenge. I was really proud of the way that they played in that first quarter.
And the takeaway and the touchdown right out of the gate has to make you feel good.
Well, it does. Anytime you can get a turnover on that first series and obviously get great field position, which we got it on our side of the 50, and 2 plays later you're in the end zone. That's going to do nothing but create a lot of momentum. And the way that our defense was playing in that first quarter, giving us great field position, and we were kind of clicking offensively, being able to move the ball, it was very quickly we got up to that 21-point lead, and you felt pretty good about things. But you knew they were a good football team and good offensively, and they proved that. They made some big plays and tried to get themselves back in the game.
Some of the numbers in the ball game stick out just a little bit. Number one, we have to start with Willie Candler. The first 300-yard game, not only as a Wolf, but as Willie was telling us, his first 300-yard game ever, and he looked sharp all day.
He really did. He made some very, very good throws. We had a couple of drops there at the beginning or right at the end of the half when we were into our rally situation, trying to get down and score right before the half. And you know, you put those two in there, and he really has an outstanding day. And I was really proud of the way that he didn't feel very good about the way he played in the first game, and he came back and responded in a positive way. You could tell on the sideline he was feeling very good about things. He was communicating and talking. He was communicating with the receivers. It was just a good, positive day for Willie, and I think the surrounding cast around him had a lot to do with that as well.
You know, interesting thing about milestones and looking at numbers, Willie now over 4,000 for his career. Pretty good achievement for a guy who's essentially played a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, he played, I think, the last 4 games of his freshman year, all of last year, and only 2 games now. So he's really got a season and a half under his belt as a starter, and that says a lot. That's a lot of yards. He's had a lot of great receivers, and he's got a great offensive line in front of him. And I'm sure he will give those guys credit as well. But he's still got to deliver and make those throws, and he's doing that. And hopefully he's going to continue to play the way that he played on Saturday, because he did throw for 300, but it was a quiet 300. You wouldn't have known that. And it's just really a shame that he was not the conference player of the week. I don't know if there's an offensive player that had a better day than he did in the conference.
That had to be all the way around. The TD throws, both of them to Lester especially, were 95-mile-an-hour fastballs that went right where they had to go.
They were placed perfectly right. There was a defender right on Tommy's back, and he threw it right in front on the run. Tommy never had to slow down. He made a couple of nice deep throws. I remember the one that he completed on 3rd down to Amani on the dig. He put that right on the money, and Amani never broke stride running in there. He made, a couple of really good throws in that rally situation. He threw a curl route on the outside shoulder of Amani away from the defender that allowed him to hopefully try to get out of bounds or to break a big tackle. He was pinpoint. It was a day that he had everything clicking in his way.
As long as we're on the offensive side talking about numbers, a 100-yard rushing game out of Devante Jackson. He passes 2 more on the school all-time rushing list. Seth Hensley and Stevie Young. It's pretty rarefied company where he is now, 490 yards away from Nick Price.
That's really amazing. Again, the guys that he continues to pass. And you'd never know it. He doesn't come to the sideline and say, "Hey, give me the ball. I want the ball. I want to do this. I'm trying to get this." He's a team player, and he very quietly goes about his business. I think from game 1 to game 2, he improved. You could see early in the game he tried to run over somebody, where in the first game he didn't do that on that 3rd and short when he was right there at the sticks. and he lowered his shoulder and ran some folks over. But he's making some great moves. That was a great run on the first or second play of the game where he had some great blocking on the outside with KJ Palmer and Amani Williams. But to make people miss right off the bat and then to hit that hole and accelerate. Just really proud of the way he's playing right now, and hopefully he's going to continue to improve and stay healthy throughout the season.
While we're talking numbers, Coach, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Again, under 100 yards rushing and barely over 200 for the ball game. A good effort.
It is. Again, our defensive line is playing really, really well. They're continuing to put pressure on the quarterback. There's a quarterback that's standing back there that's not getting comfortable in the pocket, and when that happens, the timing of the throwing game is off. And from our coverage standpoint, we're doing a good job of covering guys up early on and not letting them get rid of the ball in a hurry. But not only are we getting great pass rush, we're getting great run stops. We're getting good penetration, forcing things to go outside, and that allows the speed of our linebackers to run things down. Our linebackers are seeing things up front, filling holes very well. If you don't have a run game, you have a very, very, very hard time winning a football game. And for 2 weeks, our defense has shut the run game down, and that's led to our victories and why they are playing so well.
A couple of notes on special teams. You mentioned him earlier playing offense. KJ Palmer stepping in for Malik and averaging 17 yards per return on punts. Pretty good afternoon.
It is. He's making some very good decisions. After the one that I about killed him on when he bent over and picked it up and then returned it for a touchdown, he's making some good decisions. He's seeing things very well. He's also getting some very good blocking. And I think Coach J.R. Dorman, who does our special teams, does a great job of scheming other teams up and creating those opportunities to make big plays. That's huge for us from an offensive standpoint. You're talking about averaging 17 yards a return. That's almost 2 first downs that you don't have to get from an offensive standpoint. And that's a big momentum swing and a big field position swing. So, we've got 3 really good punt returners when you talk about Malik, KJ Palmer, and then we can put in LaPerry and Perry, who returned a couple there at the end of the game. They all 3 do a great job. We're very fortunate in what we have back there.
As far as kicking game overall, it looked like it made some great strides. And also ask you about Omar Cervantes on kickoffs. He pinned them back, and when it didn't go through the end zone, he kicked it exactly where you wanted it.
Well, we've had the second straight game where we've gotten a lot of touchbacks. I think every time we were kicking towards the scoreboard, which we had a little bit of wind with us, he put the ball into the end zone or out of the end zone. The 2 that he kicked into the wind, he kicked to the goal line and to the 3-yard line. And again, when he hangs them up as high as he is and kicks them as deep, and not only that, but the placement of where he's putting that ball, it's right where we need it to be so we can get our coverage lanes in the right places. With the speed that we have, we're going to be able to pin guys down there. So another great job by our kickoff team, and it all starts, again, with our kicker and what he's doing.
Coach, I always hate to ask this because coaches hate ratings. Players pay attention a little bit. Fans pay a lot of attention. You're up to number 10 nationally this week. I know it's September, but it's good to see the guys get recognized.
Well, I'm proud of the guys for getting recognized. I think we've moved up, 9 spots in 2 weeks. But still, it can be taken away if we don't take care of business. So it is good. It's nice to be in the top 10 and recognized as a top 10 team in the country, but it's only 2 games. And we have to understand that as a team. Our fans have to understand that. It's a long season. Where we want to be is in that top 7 in the region when we get to October and November, and giving us an opportunity to make that playoffs. And right now, we've still got a lot of football left. We still got a lot of time before we ever get to that. So our concentration, again, needs to be not on being number 10 and where are we ranked and what are we doing. It's what are we going to do next. And our next opponent, Albany State, we've got to go down and take care of business in a very, very tough and hostile environment.
Well, Coach, you've got 2 region wins, a big region game and a road game coming up at Albany State. You have some history there. It seems like nobody goes into that place without a 60-minute battle.
Well, of course. They play great football in Albany. It's a great atmosphere. That they have fans everywhere. When you pull up in your bus, you see them tailgating everywhere, and it's just a great atmosphere. It is a lot of fun to play in that stadium because their fans are so passionate about it. Their band is great. They play the whole game, and it just creates a lot of excitement. And I think our guys are going to be excited walking in there for the first time. This will be the first time that we play probably in front of a big crowd. We haven't had big crowds in these first two ball games. And I think our guys are excited about going down there and playing in that place, but they got to understand it's going to be hostile. And whatever you see on film from Albany State, you better multiply it by 3, because when they play at home, they play 3 times better than they do anywhere else that they play.
I know they've had a little problem with 2 really good opponents so far, obviously, but they've been on the road, and you mentioned that home, and they're putting a lot on the line when we get there Saturday night.
Well, they are. They got off to a slow start against Valdosta State and got behind the scoreboard and tried to do some things offensively that they're not capable of doing and not wanting to do, and the game just got out of hand. And credit to Valdosta State, they're a very good football team. Just watching them on film, they got a lot of speed and got a lot of athletes out there. But Albany matched them, athlete for athlete. They just didn't make some plays at some key times, gave up some big plays. And then they go to Tuskegee last week and play in that Whitewater Classic over in Phoenix City, Alabama, and defensively only gave up 13 points. One of the final score was 20-0, but one of those was an interception return for a touchdown. So their defense is playing much better now and played very well against them. And the offense, even though they didn't score, moved the ball, they just couldn't convert in the red zone. So, we got our hands full. They did. They played 2 very good football teams, probably 2 teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and hopefully they're going to play a third one this week that's going to be in the playoffs.
What's the key for us as preparations go on through the week to get us ready for the environment and a talented Albany State team?
Well, we've got to continue to play good special teams, number one. The battle of field position is huge in the game of football. And right now, from a special team standpoint, we are winning that battle. And we got to continue to do that. Offensively, we got to be able to run the football. We got to be balanced where we can set up some throws down the field. But, again, we got to be able to run defensively like we've been doing, stop the run. They run a lot of option, a lot of gun option. They pose a lot of problems with some things that they can do and force you to be very sound in your assignments. So we got to be we can't have any busted assignments because they can turn in big plays. So again, stopping the run once again, and then like we did last week, we were 5 of 5 in the red zone offensively. We've got to continue to do that and not settle for field goals until we can straighten out this issue that we're having with our field goal team. Right now, we're going to continue to work on it. It's just right now it's a confidence issue, and we just got to get those kids' confidence back, and they'll get it back. They're working hard. They understand what's going on, and we'll correct that, and we'll move on.
Coach, let's get this one Saturday and get ready for Gulf South play next week.
Sounds good.
Head coach David Dean with us today. Thank you for joining us here with Coach David Dean with the West Georgia Wolves, brought to you by SMI. We look each week at this past week's Wolves football and get you ready for a big Saturday. West Georgia, Albany State from the Albany State Coliseum, 7 o'clock kickoff Saturday night, and we hope you'll be there cheering on the Wolves. For Coach David Dean, I'm Mitch Gray. Thanks for joining us.